I'm going to start with Jonathan. Jonathan, I'll give you a little background on yourself, and then you certainly will give you the floor and go from there. So Jonathan is currently regarded as one of Louisville's top up-and-coming realtors and is pioneering the future of the Louisville real estate market with a revolutionary approach to property positioning, digital marketing, and technology. It's what can often be seen as a traditional market. Jonathan represents a new type of realtor that understands the complexity of the digital market and what it takes to be a successful agent in this day and age. Jonathan is also the CEO of Key Source Properties, the leading short-term rental management company in Louisville with over 65 properties under management, generating $3 million in revenue in 2019 alone. In addition to short-term rental management and real estate sales, Jonathan and his team also sells traditional property management for further expansion in all three areas. Jonathan, thank you for joining us. I've seen a bunch of stuff about Key Source Properties, a bunch of your marketing. It's certainly innovative. It's awesome. It's cutting edge. I think for our market that maybe is a little bit behind when it comes to some of the more, I think, tailored marketing approaches. But I'll, like I said, turn the floor over to you. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, how you got into real estate, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Yes, thank you for having me today. Very eager to kick off this discussion and see what kind of questions people have about technology, social media, digital marketing, and real estate. My background prior to real estate is in technology sales, where I worked for about 9 years between AT&T and Level 3 Communications, designing and selling private global networks to large enterprise customers. And so I think that the transition was pretty seamless. We were early adopters of short-term rentals in our personal lives, vocal about our success, and the opportunity to provide management services and really turn that into a business happened organically. I've always had a love and interest in real estate, and that was the catalyst that really got us started. I became a licensed realtor only about a year and a half ago, and I was with Gan Hill & Associates at the time. As of just yesterday, I'm now a partner in a brand new brokerage called 6 Degrees, 6 Degrees Real Estate. And so we're very eager to begin building that brand and utilizing a lot of what we're going to be talking about today to get out and really make a dent in the marketplace and change the way that real estate is done in large part in Louisville.
Fantastic. And I think you're maybe being a little bit modest when it comes to your short-term rental experience. I think I've read a lot about the growth of that company. I'm curious what it seems like you got into the real estate business maybe a little bit backwards. You started with a short-term rental, and then it was, okay, I think maybe I can springboard this into a career in itself. But what was kind of your initial interest in the short-term rental market, and then maybe how did you get your company started? What was, in terms of marketing? Was it word of mouth? What kind of, ideas did you start with from the start there?
Our interest in short-term rentals began just being a real estate investor. We had a property, we weren't sure what to do with it. We had terrible luck with long-term tenants, illegal activity, drug use, neighbors complaining. So we happened to use Airbnb very early on. And I was just intrigued by the concept and the idea. We decided to use it for Derby 1 year and rent that house out that way. We had enough furniture to furnish the property. And we were booked right away, and the calendar just started filling up way beyond that. I had no idea that it was going to be as well received as it was. There wasn't a ton of market research or data to look at that time. It was really just a hope and a prayer. And it exceeded our expectations. And we really didn't have any other desire to do anything else with the property after that time. And the experience that we had working with all of the fantastic guests coming in from various parts of the country with interesting stories. So that was really how we started. And just through sharing with friends and family what we had done, many other people saw the potential there and were intrigued by the idea. We initially started only with consulting, helping them get set up just like we did. When they understood how complex it was, changing the linen, communicating with guests, literally every day you could be doing laundry and having people come in to clean the property. It was more than a lot of people wanted to handle on their own. So that's really what led way to Key Source Properties. At our highest point, we had about 70 different listings under management across 3 states. From there, we made some adjustments within the company to because of the real estate business and the growth of traditional property management and real estate sales as well. So we're at a really good number right now of about 50. That's where we want to be. We're very selective in the properties that we choose, understanding what people want when they come to Louisville, what they're looking for. So we have 50 of the properties that we feel would be most productive and profitable in the space, best and highest use. And so those are the ones that we currently operate with now. We've created a cleaning company, linen company, to be able to service all the unique needs of these properties, and it's a very turnkey solution for the clients that we work with.
That's fantastic.
Airbnb and VRBO, a lot of these channels, they're marketing engines in and of themselves. So very little is needed behind the scenes, to take direct reservations or anything of that nature. And, so the money that we pay to them for each guest who stays with us, they use that to further their brand, to continue to invest in their platform. And, we take the approach of, why should we reinvent the wheel when we can very much allow them to do the work for us? Because they're all very forward thinking in their industries, like we're trying to be in the real estate industry.
Absolutely. A lot of moving parts in that business, and we'll certainly jump more to your current kind of real estate approach and marketing endeavors on that side of things. Quickly staying on the short-term rental component, I'm curious with the success that you guys have had, and certainly the volume of properties that you're involved with, and some of the disruption that's currently underway. If you could briefly share, how that has looked. What do you see kind of moving forward? Are you seeing some maybe things kind of building back up? Do you have clients that are maybe a little bit nervous about, being able to withstand the impact that the Corona's had and being able to maintain their property and some of the expenses that are associated with the ownership component there? And then on top of that, for folks that are looking to get into short-term rentals, I think like anyone, I want to get into real estate, or I want to have a rental house, and then the short-term rental component's like a rental house on steroids in terms of the attention from the ownership or management component and what those expenses maybe look like from an investment perspective. So maybe I've bottled a lot of questions at once. I think you can handle it, but interesting to kind of get your insights on where that market stands locally. Are some of these houses just simply going to have to be eventually put back on market because sustaining these expenses with maybe tenant use down or user use being decreased, due to the epidemic?
Well, short-term rentals definitely do follow a lot of the hospitality industry trends. That's something that we followed closely over the years, and March 19th will forever go down in infamy as the date that all of the mass cancellations started rolling in. We definitely were on our way to doing about $2.5 million this year just in reservations alone. And a lot of that was refunded, and we've had to pivot strategy and make accommodations for that. However, you rest assured, none of these properties are sitting vacant right now. There is also a huge need in our market for just furnished accommodations. These are people who are relocating to Louisville for various reasons. We have many medical professionals who are staying with us that have accepted positions before COVID, and they're essential employees, so they're still continuing to move here. And with the real estate market the way that it is, fewer than 2,000 properties even on the market at the moment, it's a very competitive marketplace. So a lot of people are choosing to rent 2-3 months, all the way up to 12 months, something that's furnished, all inclusive, while they take their time to get adjusted, learn the city, and see what's on the market today. So I would say about 95% of our properties are rented on a month-to-month basis. We pivoted very quickly, and we're able to position these properties that way and find more traditional style leases. So these people are signing lease agreements, they're giving us damage deposits. We continue operation on our side, taking care of the lawn, utilities, mortgage payments, everything else that is associated with operating short-term rental from an expense standpoint. However, they have one monthly fee that they pay, and a lot of these contracts are about 3 to 4 months average in lease or in length, and then we have people lining up ready to fill that as soon as they leave, showing us definitely which properties some kind of reign supreme in positioning and favorability with some of the people who are looking to rent. But everything is we're starting to see a little bit of a turn in short-term rentals, picking back up, especially with Derby coming up, and travel is not slowing down to Louisville right now. I think everybody are being cautious about it, and short-term rentals are a great way to be cautious whenever you travel. And a lot of industry experts believe that it will recover even before hotels will, because you don't have the front desk staff, you don't have elevators, you don't have outside vendors, contractors, people that you run into, food service. People can go to the grocery store, make all the meals inside of the house, not interact with other people, and still kind of continue to isolate the way that they need to while still being on vacation. And of course, a lot of the trends now with people being able to work from home or remotely, the trend is, not just work from home, but you can work from any home. So, get out, get a change of scenery, and connect to the Wi-Fi and do whatever you need to during the day, and kind of explore the city very cautiously in the afternoon. But there are a lot of people who are operating in that capacity right now. From an expense standpoint, short-term rentals are a lot similar to long-term rentals in many ways, except that, you have your guests, they're averaging stays of anywhere between, 1 and 4 days, as opposed to 12 months at a time. We still have to handle repairs like everybody else does. You still have to make your mortgage insurance payments. But at the same time, you do have often a higher return. And then you have the cost of your utilities and guest supplies. Those guest supplies, depending on the property and number of guests that you have, could range anywhere from $50 to $150 a month. So they're not significant, for toilet paper, paper towels, incidentals. But above and beyond that, it's really just the property maintenance, yard maintenance, and the utility costs that you'll be assuming. And then, of course, there's seasonality. So, some months you could make $6,000 in gross revenue. In other months, you could be almost dead, except for the holiday that comes in. And that's usually November through February are the slowest times in the season.
Well, good to hear some positive news on that front. I think a lot of the correspondences we maybe read is that market is vulnerable right now, and certainly that may be the case in some larger cities that have a little bit more of a volume in terms of the short-term rental. So I commend your group in terms of being able to pivot and shift as opposed to wait and see and figure it out. So it's actually refreshing to get some positive news on that front. I know that certainly hasn't been easy when you're dealing with that volume of properties and maybe different ownership across the board. So commend you for that. Now let's shift to I wouldn't say your new role, but maybe your more day job, so to speak, in terms of the real estate component, the realtor piece. Your marketing's very clean, it's fresh. And so what has kind of been your approach? You joined your new firm. And so I'm interested to see kind of what your all's approach is, what you've seen that you want to do differently, and kind of what's in store for you guys moving forward.
Well, I think that in real estate, kind of what the future of it looks like is really in your marketing. So this is how you're going to position yourself, the voice that you have, the value that you're bringing to the marketplace, and the audience that you reach. Social media, digital marketing is really enabling us to reach a wider market than before. We can't have one-on-one conversations with enough people, to drive the type of business that we're looking to create. So we want to go out and be very hyper-targeted and even micro-targeted in who we're finding, and using the tools that are available from a traditional marketing standpoint and adapting those to the real estate market. From an MLS standpoint, from utilizing Zillow, Realtor.com, all those traditional avenues, those are all still there. Everybody are utilizing those, and that's not necessarily where we're seeing the biggest change in the real estate market. It's really in how you interact with people, the voice that you have, and the platform that's enabling all of that to happen. So you can become an industry expert and share that knowledge and add more value to the transaction, which encourages people to want to work with you because that's different. They like how that stands out to them. I mean, people reach out to us all the time and they're like, I just want to work with you because I see your face everywhere. You're so positive with what you're delivering, and all of that resonates with me. And I think that this would be a great experience.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is people want to work with, people they know they'll enjoy throughout a process that can oftentimes be burdensome and difficult. In terms of, I run into a lot of realtors or industry professionals that maybe tighten the purse strings a little bit when it comes to marketing or getting their branding out there. And it's maybe I'll defer to, I get this sale done and then get this commission, and then I'll promise I'll commit certain funds to my next listing. But also, being a realtor and getting started, there are expenses associated with it, and you certainly there's no typical income coming in. But maybe what advice do you have for folks that maybe look at the challenge that comes with marketing or certain avenues? Okay, I could go on and do some Facebook branding or paid ads, but do I see a quantifiable ROI on that? So I think for folks that are maybe hesitant to put themselves out there or certainly pay, they don't know where to get started or what may work. And what kind of advice do you have for folks that may be feeling those sentiments?
Well, we had actually put together a presentation for today that covers a lot of those pieces. We were going to touch on social media and a lot of the actions that you could start taking today to implement a strategy and start seeing a return on your investment. But the good thing about digital marketing is it's extremely measurable. If you're to place an ad in a newspaper, if you're to send out a postcard, the only way to really track what evidence or the evidence of what you're doing is by how many people have called you or how many people have reached out to you. But there are so many other metrics that can be tracked. And the social and digital game is still very much a long game. Yes, you could, run an ad today, trying to see who's interested in buying a house, selling a house, and see how many leads are generated and follow up on those, and that's an immediate return. But for the most part, we're getting out in front of people who may not need to make a transaction for the next 1, 2, 3 years. But whenever they do, hopefully we're going to be positioned to be top of mind for them. So in that way, the results are still measurable with how many impressions you're getting, how many likes you're getting, but that you're getting in front of the right people. You're able to better find your core target audience who will not only your message resonate with them and they're likely to use you whenever they have a transaction that needs to be done, but they're also going to go one step further and share something that you're putting out there because they see value in it, they see humor in it, whatever your voice winds up being. And so that's even more powerful because, it's not coming from you, it's coming from somebody else. You're able to penetrate and get into their market a little bit more. And so that's kind of the digital word of mouth that's happening these days.
Perfect. So, and do you have the presentation, or maybe I missed that?
I do. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Let's run through that. I think that'd be valuable as opposed to me asking any more questions, and we can certainly hit through the talking points there.
I did have a quick poll. I'm going to give people just a second to take it, but
Great.
We might be a little bit further along than we needed to be. But this first one is which social media channels do you currently use? I see the one up there now. Would you rather live without your smartphone or without your car? And wow, smartphone 64%. See, I said car because Uber exists and a lot of other things, but I can't borrow a smartphone. And that's how I run my business. So so I'd have to go without the car.
Perfect.
The results are coming in. Looks great.
And I will remind everyone that if you do have questions, please hit the Q&A piece and certainly throw out some questions that we'll get to later in the programming.
TikTok, very good. Exactly as I expected. Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, taking the top there. TikTok, probably, being adopted mostly by the millennial generation now, and yet to be seen exactly what that looks like, but obviously hitting the market with record downloads and usage, which is interesting. And that's all video driven. And so that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, is adopting and utilizing video. And there are a lot of tools on the market to make it much easier. You don't need all the equipment. Every video that we've done so far has been made on an iPhone, believe it or not. All right, so that one, let's see. So we'll close that one. And I just had one other one. Let me see if I can get it up. Which of these social channels do you currently use to generate business? I suspect these results would be very similar to the ones that people are currently using, because we use what is most familiar to us.
And as we wait for those results to come in, Jonathan, what advice do you have for folks that are just afraid to put themselves out there? They feel like maybe their timelines are inundated with real estate ads, differentiating yourselves in terms of your marketing. Interested to get some insights there as well.
Well, if you're afraid to get started because everybody else is doing it or the market is saturated, then that's not going to change. That's a perception. I saw actually somebody posted on Facebook the other day, and they said, how many ads do you see a week for real estate? And the fact of the matter is, your social media channels know you. They know that we're in real estate. We're going to see a lot more real estate than your average consumer is going to see. That's why you have to work with. We're going to show split tests, different things that you can test, getting into different areas of real estate as well, and providing that value. You're going to be able to attract new home buyers, people who are looking, all kinds of things. Whenever you actually put yourself out there. Believe it or not, I was afraid to get started in video as well. Interview is one thing. You're over here bouncing ideas off of me, but when you're in front of the camera, it's only you. It's what's in your head. It's coming out of your mouth. There are bullies on social media. Very easily, we could put something out and you start getting negative responses. You have to have very thick skin. You have to still reply to these people and delegate those answers. So it can be very intimidating, especially if you're a perfectionist and you want nothing but perfection. And it's not going to come with the first video, the first 3, 4, 5 videos. And if you're, especially if you're like me and you're your own worst critic, nothing is ever good enough, but you just have to throw it out there, and you'd be surprised the positive response that you get, whether you're going, Snapchat, Instagram, live, or, doing a live story from a property, believe it or not, you're going to find that core audience who's very supportive of you. And that's a great way to continue to stay in front of them and provide relevant information.
Perfect.
All right. So those responses were exactly as I had assumed. Most people are using the traditional long-standing platforms that are Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are all great. They're the most utilized, but you'll see that there are many that aren't being utilized yet still have millions of users. So for the early adopters who like to get out there and experiment with new and unique things, these are going to present opportunities for you to grow your business and become an expert on a platform and have millions and millions of followers, potentially, if you're doing something that's new and unique, and not trying to recreate what other people are doing in some of these other spaces. So if whoever wants to go out there and take over TikTok, please do, and I will follow you. But let's see, I think, here we go, open. I think we already had it loaded here.
Great.
So, can everybody see that?
We are good to go.
All right. Now I just need to know how to, okay, there we go. I can go forward on this one. So this is just initial slide. Thank you guys again for joining. We've done our 2 polls that we had here. I included these slides. I wasn't sure how this was going to work today. But why use real estate or social media in real estate? A lot of the information that you're going to see is really targeted toward the millennial user, because as you can see on all but the 1%, according to 2017 report from NAR, 99% of millennials do want to get online and get information about the homes that they're buying. I don't know what the other 1% is doing. They must be looking at the newspaper or something. But I would say 100% of millennials really want to be doing this right now. And this isn't a generational thing either. We will see that, more and more people, my parents are using and they're in their 70s now, and they're using their smartphones. And I guarantee you that this is the first thing that they're going to look at if they're looking to buy or sell their house. Above and beyond this, some of the numbers that we've seen, 85% of buyers and sellers in one poll that we looked at do want to work with an agent who is using video as part of their marketing strategy, because people know the power of video. They're watching videos. They prefer watching video to reading text because it's a lot easier. It's informative, it's entertaining, and people are telling them what to do. So video is becoming very, very common in our lives today. And I encourage people to become early adopters. Put yourself out there in front of the camera, because it's not going away. Just because you're not using it doesn't mean that it's going anywhere. It's still going to become more and more the preferred method of advertisements, of entertainment, and receiving information. Like it or not, millennials are your next generation of home buyers as well. You know, as baby boomers start to downsize and sell off their properties, we're about to see the greatest transformation of wealth in the United States history, from baby boomers to all of their descendants. They're going to be receiving these large properties. You know, it's not going to be their style. They're going to want to sell it off. So we're going to be working primarily with millennials in the coming decade and 2 decades. So we definitely want to stay adept to technology, what's new, what's coming out, and utilize as much of it as possible to further our brand and in the marketing of each of our properties. Again, you know, just kind of leading on that, millennials are leading the agents and brokers today, introducing features like live streaming video. You know, one of the things that I like to do on Saturdays, I'm out getting properties ready for market. You know, I'll jump on Instagram. I'll do a quick live story telling them what I'm doing, staying in front of my audience, staying in touch with them. It's amazing how many people reach out. They just love seeing that we're out working so hard. Great perception that we're building in the minds of those who are following us and what we're doing. Top 3 tips for getting involved in social media: become a master of just 1 or 2. If you try and do too much on too many platforms, it's going to be very challenging to stay up to date on those, to stay in contact with everybody who's reaching out to you. So really get in and understand the nuts and the bolts of about 2 of these social media platforms, know them inside and out, and find strategies that are going to make you successful. I probably mentioned voice about 15 times so far. So that's another very important thing, is to find that voice of who you want to be on social media. It's not enough to just get out there and share a new listing that you have. I mean, that's a great way for somebody who's not doing real estate day to day, like most of us here are, to unfollow you or become disinterested and you know, stop engaging with your posts if they're just seeing new listings and they're not looking for a house right now. So let's get a little bit more creative in how we're positioning things and the type of information that we're sharing. Make it valuable to as many people as possible, and not just those who are just looking for a property right now. And of course, create a strategy. This comes with knowing both your core market, which comes with testing, and it also comes with understanding the platform and how best to engage with the platform. Your strategy will become very apparent the more you do it, and the more you interact with your network. So Facebook, everybody is very familiar with Facebook, I'm sure. We use it on a daily basis, but here are some of the benefits of using it for your business as well. Number 1, you do have the ability to promote your posts, especially if you have a Facebook business page. This is the least preferred method, though, of advertising, and we're going to get into what you can do besides that. But if you have a great listing, if you have a great post that's being well received by your audience, by all means promote that. You can promote it to friends of your audience as well, so that, you know, if you have a great client here, they have a great network, it's a great way to get in front of those people with a simple post promotion. Number 2 is Ads Manager. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Facebook Ads Manager. It can be a little overwhelming and daunting, so I encourage you to get in, get signed up, and spend some time inside of it. But this is going to connect to both Facebook and Instagram. It's going to help you identify the best audience for whatever it is that you're doing. You'll see, as a realtor, if you use real estate or if you use realtor in your title or anything related to that, you're going to have to select a special category, which is housing. And so Facebook's going to follow HUD's rules when it comes to housing. We can't discriminate based on age, gender, a number of things. And so you're going to be less able to actually select specifics of the audience that you want if you're using any of that verbiage. But Facebook and Instagram do have a great way of identifying the people who are best suited for your audience, the ones who engage. They'll go out and they'll find audiences just like that to continue targeting to them. A/B testing. This is a great way to measure your ROI and the type of ad that you should be running. I suggest that everybody do A/B testing. That's running similar ads, but in two different ways. Right now, I have an A/B test going on. One has a carousel of photos of a property. Another one has a video that we've created just on Adobe Spark. We've taken the same pictures, but we put it to video with music, and it's just about 10 seconds long. And the video, hands down, always performs better than the photos. If it's a great listing, it might be just a marginal difference, and we didn't see a big change there. But you can experiment with wording. You can experiment with your placement, and it's going to tell you which ad performs better and gets in front of the most people. You do this enough, and you will start to notice a trend of what works and what doesn't, and then you can start to spend your money wisely. This goes back to what you were saying, Alex, about how do you spend those marketing dollars? If I get this sale, I promise I'm going to put this much money into my marketing. Well, making it as targeted as possible is going to be the best use of those funds. And of course, whenever you are advertising in Facebook and Instagram, there's a cost for each transaction or whatever you're wanting to do. If you're wanting to generate leads, you'll see that this is probably going to become like $2.50, $5, $10, depending on what your ad is and how you're getting people to engage with you. But if you're just going for likes on your page, if you're just going for impressions on a video, it is nothing for me to pay just 50 cents to get 1,000 impressions on a new listing, on an open house, and getting in front of people that are just within a 5-mile radius of this property. That's very beneficial because chances are the person who knows the next person who's going to move into a property probably lives within 5 miles of it. So let's get that information out in front of them to that targeted audience. Because, how many times have they said, I really would love to live in your neighborhood? They're going to be reaching out to those people and say, hey, take a look at this. This property is now available in our neighborhood if you want to go see it. Happens a lot. Benefits of Facebook Ads Manager. For the sake of time, I am going to read through some of these. I'll try and elaborate a little bit. If you guys have questions, please go ahead and stick them over here in the queue. I think I'm reading this right. Let's see. No questions yet. So if you have anything, shoot it over there. Ads Manager. Number one, analytics. You get to watch and adjust. Many times we've put out ads and we start watching them and, we're at 60 cents, 70 cents per click. That's not converting the way that we want to. We want to keep everything between 10 and 30 cents per click. So I'll stop the ad immediately. I'm not going to let it continue to go out there if it's not getting the result that we want. We want to make sure that we are using our funds as wisely as possible. Micro-targeting your audience. If you're not using words like realtor, real estate, if you're more general, just helping people with the home buying process, you can really get in to start targeting some of the people that you're looking for. You can look for people who are more likely to buy a house within the next 6 months. You can look for people who are interested in living in downtown areas, people who like realtor.com, anything that you can think of. You could even go for people who like Kentucky Select or whoever your biggest competition is. You can go and literally target just the people who like that page and get in front of them if you see value in doing something like that. But at the same time, you're able to monitor those results and see if you're getting the type of return that you're expecting and the engagement on what you're putting out. Number three is just a follow up on number two is creating hyper-specific ads. So when, again, you have to be very careful with real estate, but once you get creative and you can find ways to not make your audience or your ad about housing or the information that you're putting out, you can get hyper specific. This goes, to a lot of products that are being marketed out there today. You can look for men between the ages of 25 and 30 who like Sunday night football and also BW3s. You can get within Kentucky, Indiana, and Tennessee. So, or within a particular zip code. So you can get hyper specific with your targeting if you have a specific core audience that you're starting to identify who really connects well with your brand. You can reach more people than with just promoting the posts. That's one of the benefits of Ads Manager, and I touched on that a little earlier. Retargeting is a big one. So what we'll do pretty often is we will run ads about open houses, about new properties coming onto the market, engaging people to connect with us. Those people who do connect with you, you can then run ads to retarget only the people who have been engaged. So that's that very, very hyper-targeted audience. You can only get out in front of them, and that's spending your money very wisely. Of course, we mentioned the ad placement on both Facebook and Instagram. And one thing that I didn't mention on here is a pixel. Facebook does offer a pixel that you can embed in your website. You can do a general pixel, or you can do very targeted pixels and make one on every single page. This is beneficial whenever you're doing marketing. If you're using a QR code to send people to a specific page of your website, you don't have to know who these people are, but Facebook will remember who has clicked on that page, because that pixel is going to track them. So then you can do ads targeted only to people who have been to a certain page of your website, a certain area of your website, and then start sending out ads to them. For example, if you do a great blog post about 20 things to do whenever you list your property for sale, and you start promoting that ad on Facebook, you can embed a pixel on that page to see who is coming and to track all of that traffic, then go out and run an ad on Facebook targeting only the people who have seen that. And you say, now that you see the 20 ways to get your property ready, let me help you list your property for market, and have a nice video campaign of why they should use you as their realtor. And you're in front of people who have recently been on your website looking at a specific piece of information. Instagram. Number one, have a business account. If you have a personal account, you can easily convert that into a business account. It's going to give you a lot more that you can do with it than a personal account. If you are one of those people who really, really want to use it to connect with your friends, and you don't just want to go out there and start interacting with a lot of realtors and people in this in the investment community, then you can create another page, just like you would on Facebook, and make that your business page, and have another one be your personal page. But whatever you do, if you're on Instagram and you want to use it to generate business and to get your voice out into the community, then you definitely need to have a business account. You can also connect that business account to Facebook. The value of this is anytime you go to post on Instagram, it can also then share to Facebook. This is a time-saving mechanism so that you're not posting to multiple locations. And number three is Linktree, or something very similar. I'm going to get to that in just a second because I have an image for you. But here are some of the benefits of the Instagram business account. Number one is access into insights. So anytime you do a post, anytime you run an ad, you're going to see insights like this. So for this particular ad, it looks like our audience was majority between the ages of 25 and 34 in the city of Los Angeles, and it was 62% male. So you know that you have, how much can you do when you know that your audience is majority men from Los Angeles between the ages of 25 and 34? Full disclosure, this is not from one of our campaigns, because I probably wouldn't have a large Los Angeles audience. But by using this information, you can then continue to refine what it is that you're putting out. Because so many people, I believe, when this is intimidating or when they don't really know what they're doing, it's the entire world is their audience. We definitely want to become very focused and very niche oriented in our marketing to get the best return for your dollar. You have the beyond this, the benefits of the business account is you have the ability to add a contact button. You have the ability to add links to your stories. So whenever you're out and you're putting your stories on there, you can link to specific pages, again, of your website, of a blog post that you did, of anything that you want people to see. If you post a picture of a house, you can then embed the link so that they can go check it out on your website, on realtor.com, wherever you want to send your traffic for looking at the listings that you have. And then fourthly, we have the ability to advertise and promote posts. You can do this specifically from within Instagram, or you can use the Facebook Ads Manager, which is what I prefer. And then I mentioned Linktree. Linktree is what I use, but there are a growing number of platforms out there, both free and paid, that do a variety of things. But this allows you, as you may have noticed on Instagram, you don't have the ability to put links in your posts like you can on Facebook. You can put it in the comments, but still it's not clickable. You have to copy and paste that into a browser. And by adding that extra step, people are less likely to do it. However, if you say that you have the link in bio, then oftentimes what people are doing is they're using something like Linktree here, and they'll go in and they'll update, here's our company website, here are the listings that I have available, here's this particular property that you may have just seen that I posted an ad about. And these companies pride themselves on being the only link that you will ever need, because it allows you to put all of your important information in one place, and hopefully your target audience is going to go and find this and find value in the information that you see to be useful and beneficial to them. Hootsuite. This is a product that we use for scheduling. Social media can require a lot of your time. If you're doing it right, if you're doing it consistently, it can take a lot of time. So what you can do is you can utilize programs like Hootsuite to actually schedule posts in advance and your content and what you're going to do. Very often we'll take a weekend, we'll take a full day, we'll run a bunch of videos that we can break up in various ways, whether it be through ads, whether it be through content that we're sharing, pictures. We'll go to a property, we'll take several pictures, wardrobe change, come up with the entire content. You can sit down and over the course of just a couple of hours or a couple minutes, if you're really good at it, schedule all of your posts to go out in the coming week, month. Every tool out there has a different kind of mechanism for that and how far in the future it will go. We'll schedule it out for a month at a time. And unless something big comes up, you have a new listing that you want to show, you have a sale that you want to promote, you can almost set it and forget it and know that some of your social media activity, just the general organic posts that you would be putting on, not the ads, that all of that is being scheduled for you. So it doesn't require as much attention on a regular ongoing basis. Because when I'm moving around from topic to topic, I'm over here, I'm over there, I get less done. So when I sit down and I get everything done through time blocking, this helps me kind of set it, forget it, go on with my day and get back to the business of selling real estate, and it doesn't consume my life. Digital staging. This is something that specifically goes over very well on social media and sharing. On the top, you see a current listing that I have before. One is a third floor empty room. And then to the right, you have the master bedroom. This owner's moved out of state, and traditional staging, you can only do so much with it. It's very expensive. So what we do is we do some digital staging. There are a ton of services that are out there. You can find them on Instagram, Facebook. Once you search for one, you'll literally get ads for 12 of them. And then the afters are at the bottom. And these monetize very well on social platforms because the pictures are so nice. People will share it, they'll like it, they'll engage with it. So the after, they're on the bottom. My buyer, after she saw these, she really wanted to move back into the house. She wished she had decorated it like this all along. We actually have another one in the Mercantile that we're going to be listing later this week, and you won't believe the before and after on these staged photos with the height of the ceiling and all of the elements inside of the building. We just got them back this morning, and I continue to be blown away every time I get these staged photos back. So I highly, highly recommend them. Next, kind of goes without saying, but believe it or not, a lot of people aren't using professional photography. The iPhone, no matter how many apps, no matter how many filters out there, no matter whether you're using a wide-angle lens or setting or whatever it is, it just doesn't hold a candle to professional photography. These are 4 of our short-term rental listings, and this is how we stand out from the market, is by using professional photography. So a lot of the skills that we've learned in positioning our short-term rental properties to stand out above everybody else in an extremely crowded marketplace is to utilize professional photography. And the result really is amazing. I require it on every single listing that I do, really regardless of price point. You can get this done for $150, turnaround in 24 hours. Split the cost with your owner if you need to, but professional photography, whether the space is empty or furnished, is an absolute must in showing the highlights and benefits, features of the property. And again, great for social media. Video. Video is something that we've talked about a lot here. I don't know that I have a whole lot more to add to it, other than saying be sure that you are doing it. Everybody is afraid. I was afraid the first time I started doing it. Honestly, it took me 2 times, and I'm very comfortable now in front of the camera. Not perfect, always a work in progress. I'm always progressing as a host, as showcasing the property, as a realtor in front of the camera. I am always improving in that area, but until you get started, you are not going to improve. You're not going to be able to get your voice out, your properties out. You just have to rip off the Band-Aid, let it pull the hair off your arm. It's only painful for a second, and get in front of the camera, start experimenting. It's your first one. It's probably going to be garbage. Put it out there anyway. Somebody's going to love it. They're going to like it. They're going to give you the encouragement that you need to keep on going and tell you that you need your own TV show. That's the last thing that you need to hear. And then everything from there on is going to be video.